David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, joins us now for his usual Monday visit. And David, we'll talk about the defense in a second, but of course everybody's been concerned about the offense. I know it was not a, week 4 or 5 kind of performance from the Cowboys, but it did look like some things were getting right. What do you attribute that to against the Giants, outside the Giants just being listless right now?
Yeah, I thought it was better. I hesitate to say it was good, but yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. I just thought they were doing some of the basic things that they haven't been able to do. They had the short passing game going underneath, finding Dalton Schultz. The running game, certainly not as dominant as it looked at the beginning of the season, but was a lot more competent. And mainly, I think I attribute that to the offensive line playing a lot better. I think Connor Williams gave them some juice and some athleticism. It really felt like they were targeting his side of the line a lot, especially in the early going. And he was getting to the second level. He was pulling, doing a lot of stuff in space that we haven't seen. I'm encouraged that when they get Tyron Smith back, maybe they can get that offensive line operating back at that level that we've been used to. And again, not an amazing game from Dak Prescott, but a cleaner game. I mean, most of the miscues in that game, I thought were from the receivers, particularly CeeDee Lamb, in terms of not being able to get things going downfield. So, like I said, I'm not ready to call it good, but I think I've got a sliver of optimism that they're trending in the right direction, at least when it comes to the fundamental basic stuff.
Well, the defense has been carrying the team for weeks, and now that they are, about as at full strength as you can get at this point in the season for any unit on the field, they are straight up dominant. And I know the Giants are playing without their starting quarterback, and their offensive line isn't good, but to really control an NFL team like they did yesterday and cause as many turnovers continues to impress me. And David, I don't know if you feel this way. I've almost completely forgotten that the Cowboys used to be a team that turnovers are so foreign to them, we would wait weeks between games when we saw them.
Oh, I've forgotten. I mean, I've covered this team way too long and watched way too many seasons where they might have 7 interceptions in a whole season, let alone one guy that has 10. So I'm just enjoying every step of the way, just kind of marveling at how they've managed to transform themselves into a unit that, yeah, I mean, they single-handedly dominated that game, but they've done it for about 3 weeks now. I mean, starting with that Saints game at the beginning of the month, at no point in these last 3 have you felt like, well, the opposing offense is going to be able to put up some points and we need to score here. It's like, no, even when the offense has its miscues, the defense gets the ball right back, makes a big play, does what it needs to. I mean, they've allowed, in terms of defensive points allowed, they've allowed 17, 13, and 6 these last 3 weeks. So, I mean, I think that really speaks for itself. Now, the flip side of that is they've been on a nice little run of playing bad quarterbacks, and they're probably going to get another bad quarterback on Sunday against Washington, but that's going to run out eventually, and I think it seems like a lot of fans are antsy, and I think that's why. I mean, this defense is amazing, but you're going to go up against a team where you need more from your offense at some point. But fortunately for them, as long as you keep stacking wins, you can buy yourself more time until you need to have that conversation.
How different do you think the end of the season will be, maybe not just for the Cowboys, but for everyone, since there's only one bye this year and the way that teams will have to play that in Week 18?
Well, I mean, that was a thing last year. I mean, so we've got some experience with only having one bye. This is the second year they're doing it. So I think it is, in a vacuum, I do think it gives you some clarity. Maybe it kind of changes the way that you kind of jockey for position because, yeah, it's much less likely you get the bye. But having said that, I mean, my God, this is the most, even in a league that's known for its parity, this is the most even season I can remember. I mean, it's basically Christmas. We're going to get to Christmas Day and only have one of 14 playoff berths locked up. Green Bay locked up their division last night. The other 13 spots are all up for grabs. I think like 12 of the 16 teams in the AFC have a winning record. And then you look at the carnage in the NFC. I mean, you got 3 teams tied for the 2 seed. So you'd like to think it could clear it up, but this year it really might not. I mean, we'll see what happens, but could be talking about as many as 3 or 4 teams having a shot at the 1 seed, at least going into the second to last, if not the last week of the season. And I mean, that's incredibly exciting. Hopefully it leads to a lot of meaningful games in the last 2 weeks.
Did Zeke Elliott look a little bit better to you? I mean, at least healthier?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I think he looked fresher. He was able, it looks like they trust him to run outside the tackle box a little more often. They did some more stretch stuff with him than what we've gotten used to. He had a little bit more burst. I think he had like an 11 and a 13-yard gain, which is about as far as we've seen him run in the last 6 weeks. So I don't think he's all the way back. And like we keep saying, he might not be all year. I think I said that on our podcast today, is like Tony Pollard clearly looks like the fresher back, but it's encouraging that Zeke is coming along nicely enough that he can give you some of that stuff he's usually capable of.
Yeah, it was nice to see Tony Pollard too not look too terribly banged up. You know, he looked pretty much the same to me. I know you got to be careful because his foot's hurting and he's got plantar fasciitis, but he looked like Tony Pollard, and that was encouraging, especially for the stretch run.
Yeah, he averaged 6.2 yards per carry. Like I said, I mean, I think I'm now at a point, and I don't say this to knock Zeke because he's clearly banged up, but the Cowboys have clearly decided Zeke doesn't need any time off, or they're resisting it maybe at least until they lock up a playoff spot. But until they have a chance to get Zeke a little bit healthier, I would be giving the Lions' share of the carries to Tony Pollard for the time being, just because he does look fresher, he does look a little bit more explosive. And going back to about the bye, it's going to be interesting to see what all's on the table for the Cowboys, because you can't stop playing if you've got a shot at the 1 seed. But man, it would be big for this team if either through the playoff bye or just taking the last week of the season off. Either way, it would be huge for this team to sit those guys and have them both a little bit fresher when these playoff games start.
David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com with us every Monday. David, thanks a lot. Merry Christmas, man. Talk to you next week.
Merry Christmas, guys. Talk to you soon.
Ideal